Chapter 9 Fake 168. A strong light shot out from Lu Sheng's eyes. This result surprised even himself. The Combat Effectiveness Index is 168, already exceeding the combat effectiveness standard of a first-level official warrior. That is to say, as long as I can make up the blood value, I will soon be able to participate in the first-level warrior assessment. Lu Sheng was very excited. The goal that I didn't even dare to think about, in just 1 week, is close at hand, as if it is within reach. This feeling is quite strange. The gap between the combat power index and the blood value has widened. This situation can only be achieved by those geniuses who also practice martial arts. Now, I can also be regarded as a genius. Lu Sheng was smiling. He could imagine how surprised his teachers, classmates and family members would be if his current strength exploded. You have used our Hongchuan martial arts secret medicine bath to assist your practice for so long, and your blood value should have increased a lot. Let's test it. There were footsteps and voices at the door. Lu Sheng moved his ears, quickly cleared the data on the tester, and then walked out the door. When approaching the door, Lu Sheng saw a tall, smooth-skinned beauty leading a young man about his age walking towards him, passing him by. It's a student who came to rent an instrument for testing, probably from a nearby high school. An Shuang glanced at Lu Sheng, who was walking out of the door, and casually said to the young man beside him, "Students like this who can't even afford a tester at home probably won't get very good grades." The young man behind An Shuang smiled. The young man has fair skin and looks a bit handsome. His clothes are much more refined than those of ordinary families, and he speaks with a natural sense of superiority. Maybe. An Shuang nodded. Although the boy's tone of voice made her a little uncomfortable, it was undeniable that what the other party said was not wrong. As the saying goes, poor culture and rich military. In martial arts practice, resources also accounted for a large part of the factor. A child from a well-to-do family eats various supplements since childhood, and before he starts to practice, his blood value is much higher than that of others, and he still has spare energy to practice various martial arts in the future, and the gap between him and his peers continues to widen. And children from poor families can't even eat enough, and taking supplements once in a while will cost the whole family's savings. How can they compete with those children from rich families? It was as if the child who had just walked out had become so skinny, obviously lacking nutrition for a long time. Let's do a test first. An Shuang calmed down and instructed the young man to start the test. The test results will come out soon. The blood value is 1.253, and the combat power index is 130. The young man said happily, "The blood value has increased by 0.03 compared to half a month ago. Senior sister and this medicinal bath is really effective. It is much better than the supplements I usually take." An Shuang also showed a smile on her face, and explained, "If you usually take too many tonics, there will naturally be some remaining medicinal power accumulated in your body. Our An family's medicinal bath is to stimulate these medicinal powers in your body. The effect in the first month will indeed be significant, and then it will gradually weaken, and you need to continue to take various supplements for assistance." Supplements? My family has a lot of them. The point is that they are effective. The young man waved his hand nonchalantly. The increase in qi and blood value made him very excited. Suddenly, his eyes rolled, as if remembering, he quickly walked to the instrument that Lu Sheng used just now, and said to An Shuang, "Senior sister and can you call up the test results of that guy just now? I want to see how big the gap is with others. The object you want to compare now should be the geniuses in the school, the top students, not ordinary people." I know. I just want to increase my self-confidence, senior sister and please." An Shuang couldn't resist the young man's plea, so she walked to the instrument helplessly, and recalled the result of the previous tester. "That guy is as thin as a bamboo pole, and his blood value is probably not even 1. He should be a little older than me." As the young man muttered, a sense of pleasure after his vanity was satisfied began to appear on his face. But when the data was presented in front of him, the young man's expression suddenly froze. The whole person stayed in place, staring straight at the data on the display screen, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. The blood value is 1.324, and the combat power index is 168. Really? The boy screamed directly, and shouted in disbelief, that guy just now, can his blood value be so much higher than mine? And Aishuang was also taken aback. With a blood value of 1.32, in Baya City, no matter which high school it is, it can be regarded as an upper-level result. However, what was even more exaggerated was the combat power index of 168, which exceeded the blood value standard by more than 30, which proved that the opponent obviously had considerable attainments in actual combat. When I had chi and blood at 1.3, my combat power wasn't that exaggerated. Just now, the young man who I thought was from a poor family and malnourished at a glance, is actually an out-and-out genius? Senior sister and I, have you adjusted the wrong data? Impossible, this is unscientific, why does that guy? The boy was still fiddling around the instrument, muttering unwillingly. He originally wanted to find some sense of superiority from Lu Sheng, but he was severely beaten, and now he is not to mention how depressed he is. Okay, if you know how good others are, don't work harder. When the college entrance examination, there are still many geniuses like this. While comforting, Aishuang secretly remembered the appearance of Lu Sheng she had seen before. Chapter 10 Bottleneck Puff Breath Dash In the room, Lu Sheng sat on the ground in a strange posture. As his movements continued to change, his breathing was also constantly adjusted in a wonderful rhythm. After finishing the last movement, Lu Sheng relaxed his body. Sweat flowed down his muscle lines like a stream, and his whole body was emitting a faint heat as if he had just stepped out of a steam room. The fighting zombies in the dream have basically practiced this body training technique before they were alive. Everyone has different levels of proficiency in different parts. Now I can perfectly perform the whole set of movements very proficiently. The same set of body training techniques, let different people practice, the effect of practice will be different. For example, you are better at the first 30 movements, and I am better at the last 30 movements. Different movements correspond to different muscle groups, and the result is the difference in physical fitness of each person. And Lu Sheng absorbed the memories of so many zombies in one-piece suits, and integrated almost everyone's good parts, so that his attainments in this set of body training techniques and matching breathing techniques have reached a very high level. The results are still very good, I can feel it almost every day, and there are muscle groups that have not been exercised before. If it is said that this body training technique develops the human body 100%, then the 24 body training exercises promoted by the Wuming may not even develop 1% of the human body. The gap between these two sets of body training techniques is really too big. Lu Sheng couldn't help sighing. After practice, Lu got up and wiped his body briefly with a towel. Just after changing into dry clothes, there was a familiar knock on the door. Lu Sheng, come out to eat. No. Lu Sheng replied, quickly packed up and walked out of the room. The whole family was already waiting for him at the dinner table. There were 7 or 8 dishes on the table, most of which were meat dishes. On the place belonging to Lu Sheng, there was a pot full of white rice. That's right, a pot. Because I can't find a container bigger than a pot at home. Xiaosheng, come and eat. Mother Jing Yufan asked Lu Sheng to sit down. Lu Sheng nodded, sat down and began to dig into the rice. Over the past week, Lu Sheng's appetite has become more and more exaggerated. From the beginning, it was only twice the size of her younger sister Lu Qinghe, and now it is close to 5 times the size of Lu Qinghe. There are 2 big eaters in the family, and my mother Jing Yufan is also a big project to cook every day. Really edible. Lu Qinghe looked at Lu Sheng's face buried in the rice, muttered something, and then, not to be outdone, took a few bites of rice into his own mouth. Lu Dehai looked at the pair of children eating with a smile, and was in a good mood. Open up and eat, there is a lot of food. What's wrong with Xiaosheng recently? After eating so much, he's getting thinner and thinner. Xing Yufan squeezed Lu Sheng's well-defined arm, and said with some concern. What do you know, boys develop like this. Lu Dehai put a piece of pork ribs into Lu Sheng's rice bowl, and asked with a smile, have you measured your qi and blood recently? Has it gone up? Without raising his head, Lu said sullenly, I tested it, and it has risen a little. There was light in Lu Haihai's eyes, and he couldn't help asking, how much has it increased? Quick, break one soon. With rice in his mouth, Lu Sheng replied vaguely. He didn't dare to tell the truth, for fear of scaring his parents, and it was hard to explain. It's about to break one? Okay. Even though most of the progress was concealed, this result surprised Lu Haihai very much. I'll buy some supplements for you tomorrow, and the blood value will increase. It can't be supplemented by just eating. Lu Sheng raised his head, his gaze stayed on the plaster sticking out of his father Lu Dehai's shoulder for a while, and he didn't speak. Lu Dehai is just an ordinary porter, and his mother's salary in the supermarket is not high. For such a family, it is quite difficult to support the daily martial arts practice of 2 children. Buying extra supplements will only make the burden on parents even heavier. From the usual chats between his parents, Lu Sheng learned that Lu Dehai had already started looking for work to work overtime after get off work, and his mother was also doing other part-time jobs. Must find a way to make money. Lu Sheng secretly made up his mind. On the wilderness shrouded in gray mist, 2 figures were fighting. Lu Sheng's opponent is a zombie wearing a blue jumpsuit. This type of zombie was much stronger than the zombies in gray jumpsuits he had encountered before. More powerful, faster, and even retains certain fighting skills. This is the one in front of him. The blue jumpsuit zombie roared, stretched out its thick arms and grabbed Lu Sheng fiercely. The arm made a hoo sound of breaking through the air on the way. Lu Sheng's eyes remained unchanged. He took a few steps forward, and put his shoulder against the blue jumpsuit zombie's big arm to block the punch. Then he quickly reached out and hugged the latter's neck in an ambiguous gesture. Down. Give it a hard yank. The knee blasted out like a cannonball, hitting the zombie's chin hard. Crack! The head of the zombie in the blue one-piece suit showed a strange angle, completely hanging behind the shoulders. After shaking for a while, he fell to the ground. The corpse quickly weathered, and a black line of smoke emerged, quickly entering Lu Sheng's body. Squad leader, good at boxing. When Lu Sheng opened his eyes, it meant that the memory had been absorbed. This elite monster in blue jumpsuit brought Lu Sheng a lot. After absorbing this memory, Lu Sheng felt that his understanding of boxing had reached a new level. It seems to have touched a bottleneck faintly. Upwards is a new world.